Once, in a small village, there was a small house where a woman lived with her small daughter. She sat in a corner of the kitchen, watching her mother bake hot custard tarts. Now, the little girl was very inquisitive. That is, she liked to know what was going on. So she asked her mother, "Why are you baking so many hot custard tarts?" "Because," said her mother, "your grandmother is ill in bed and has no one to look after her. These custard tarts are for her tea." And she packed the tarts into a wicker basket with a small pot of butter. "Grandmother lives alone in the wood. How will she get the tarts?" asked the little girl. "I want you to take the basket straight to her cottage. Give her the tarts and come straight home," said her mother. "How will I find the way through the wood?" asked the little girl. "Just follow the path and don't dawdle," said her mother. "How will I wake Grandmother up if she's asleep?" "Just knock on the door. I'm sure she'll hear you," said her mother. "The tarts look very tasty. Can I eat some if I get hungry on the way?" asked the little girl. "No, no," said her mother firmly. "If you start to eat them, you'll probably finish them all up. Then you'd have nothing to give Grandmother." "What about the butter? It looks very nice." "No, no," said her mother, becoming rather annoyed. "It is only a small pot, and Grandmother likes butter very much. Besides, it wouldn't be nice if you go sticking your finger into it." The little girl felt rather disappointed. But she was looking forward to her walk because she liked the wood with its flowers and toadstools. "Now, don't forget what I told you," said her mother, who knew what a dreamy girl her daughter was. "Keep to the path and don't talk to anyone on the way." "Please don't worry," said the little girl. "I won't." Before the little girl left, her mother dressed her in a Red Riding Hood that her mother had made for her. It suited the girl so well, everyone in the village called her Little Red Riding Hood. Little Red Riding Hood skipped through the village with her wicker basket. And at last, she reached the edge of the wood. Now, because Little Red Riding Hood was extremely inquisitive, she began to dawdle. She stopped to look at the flowers. She paused to admire a butterfly. Then she bent down to study a mushroom, and an ill-tempered rabbit stuck his head out and said, "Hoo!" They call me Little Red Riding Hood, said Little Red Riding Hood. Oh, said the irascible rabbit. Do they? Well, if you want my advice, you'll stick to the path and not talk to strangers as you go. Are you a stranger? Asked Little Red Riding Hood. I was a moment ago, but I'm not anymore, said the rude rabbit. You don't know very much, do you? No, said Little Red Riding Hood. I suppose I don't. Why are you wearing that silly Red Riding Hood? Asked the rabbit. Because my mother made it for me. Don't you like it? No, said the rabbit curtly. Oh, that's funny. Everyone else thinks it suits me. Well, I don't. For a start, it's too red, which isn't the right color at all for walking in the woods. No, said Little Red Riding Hood. I suppose it's not. It should be green or brown or mushroom colored, but not red. Change it. That's my advice. I suppose you're right, said Little Red Riding Hood. I'll tell my mother about it when I get home. I should, said the rabbit, rather hastily. Anyway, I don't know what you're doing rushing around in red for. These are dangerous parts, you know. Oh, yes, dangerous parts. Why, just the other day I was going... The rabbit stopped and thought for a moment. And where are you going, by the way? He asked. I'm going to visit my grandmother, who lives in the wood, said Little Red Riding Hood. And she showed the rabbit the custard tarts and the pot of butter. I'm taking these tarts and pot of butter to her because she isn't well. Butter, you say? Said the rabbit. Better taste that. And he dipped his paw into the pot. What soft little paws you have, said Little Red Riding Hood. I have, said the rabbit. Well, I'm going now. And don't forget, stay on the path. And he hopped away. Little Red Riding Hood took her basket and continued on her way through the wood. She stopped to look up at the tall trees. And a nervous squirrel hopped out along a branch. What a big, bushy tail you have, said Little Red Riding Hood. Yes, said the squirrel hurriedly. But what are you doing here, so deep in the wood? I'm going to visit my grandmother, who lives in a cottage here. Shh, whispered the squirrel. You mustn't talk so loudly. You never know who may be listening. Oh, really? Said Little Red Riding Hood. Who on earth would be listening to us? Whispered the squirrel anxiously. There are some funny types hereabout. Oh, yes, very funny types, and they're not to be trusted. What a lot of nonsense you're talking, said Little Red Riding Hood. I haven't met any funny people, except you. You're pretty funny. Don't laugh. When you've lived in the wood as long as I have, you'll know what I'm talking about, said the squirrel very nervously. Well, I think you're all very silly. So if you don't mind, I'll continue on my way. Shh, whispered the squirrel. You should not be out here on your own. Why not? Asked Little Red Riding Hood, becoming rather cross. Because, said the squirrel in a hushed voice, because it isn't safe. Oh, pooh, said Little Red Riding Hood. Of course it is. Anyway, I have to take these custard tarts and pot of butter to my grandmother. Butter? Said the squirrel. I must try some of that. And she stuck her little tongue into the pot. Now I should be going, but do remember, you must be careful. And she disappeared along the branch. Little Red Riding Hood took her basket and went on her way through the wood. As she meandered down the path, she came upon a robin standing on a log. "Hello," said Little Red Riding Hood. "I've been told not to talk to strangers, but everyone seems so strange. I don't know who are strangers and who aren't." "Well," said the robin, "if I had the time, I would explain. But since I don't, I can't. So that's that." Little Red Riding Hood, being a very inquisitive little girl, wondered why the little bird was in such a hurry. "The wood is such a dark and dangerous place," said the robin, "that I come and do what I have to do, and then I go. And if you've got any sense, you will do the same." "And what do you have to do?" asked Little Red Riding Hood. "Very important business. Very important business," snapped the robin. "My," said Little Red Riding Hood, "what a wonderful red waistcoat you have." "Much the same could be said of your riding hood," said the robin. "But enough of this. What business have you in these dark and gloomy parts, may I ask?" "I'm taking this basket of custard tarts and pot of butter to my grandmother, who lives in a cottage near here. She's very sick and is lying in bed with no one to look—" "Enough! Enough! I simply cannot stand here nattering for hours and hours and hours. You clearly have not, butter? Did you mention butter?" said the robin. "Yes, I did," said Little Red Riding Hood. "I have some in a small pot, but I'm afraid it has already been started." "No matter," said the robin. "I should taste it nonetheless." And he stuck his beak into the pot. "Not at all bad," said the robin. "I would dearly like to stay and gossip with you further, but I must be getting along." "Oh, well, it has been nice to talk to you," said Little Red Riding Hood. Possibly," said the robin. "But as a general rule, you would be wiser not to talk to strangers in these lonely and dismal parts. For instance, I have heard that there is a wolf lurking close by." "A wolf?" said Little Red Riding Hood. "Oh, my." "Quite," said the robin. "So beware. And should you be so unfortunate enough to meet him, hurry on. Do not dilly-dally. Now, goodbye." And the robin flew away. "Goodbye," said Little Red Riding Hood, but the robin was gone. She took her basket and continued along the woodland path. After a short distance, she stopped to gather chestnuts, and she wandered off the path. Little Red Riding Hood looked up. She heard someone approaching.
Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful... What ho, small child, said the stranger.
Who are you?" said Little Red Riding Hood, rather uneasily.
I, little person, am a wolf.
"A wolf? Then I mustn't speak to you. I must get back to the path," said Little Red Riding Hood, looking around. "Oh, which way is it?"
Ah, which way is it, she asks. I will tell you, O charming child avec le manteau rouge. I will tell you.
"But first, perhaps you will assist me," said the wolf. "What do you mean? How can I help you?" asked Little Red Riding Hood. "I'm the one that's lost."
No, no, no. I don't need you to show me the way, replied the wolf in a jovial fashion. It isn't that at all. My problem is a medical one.
"What's a medical one?" asked the little girl.
I have, said the wolf, I have a terrible toothache. It causes me such frightful anguish, such unmitigated agony. I am unable to sleep, to eat, to ponder life's delights, as is my wont.
Little Red Riding Hood suddenly felt very sorry for the wolf. Have you been to the dentist? She asked.
Alas, my sympathetic friend, there is no dentist to be found for miles around. Hence my request for your kind assistance.
But what can I do? Asked Little Red Riding Hood.
Perhaps you would be so kind as to inspect the offending molar yourself, said the wolf.
And he opened his mouth wide, hoping that the girl would put her little head between his dripping teeth. But Little Red Riding Hood said impatiently, "Oh, don't stand there gaping. I don't know anything about dentistry. Besides, I must be getting on. Now, please tell me, how do I get back to the path?"
Well, now, let us not be in such haste, said the wolf. I see that you are laden with a heavy burden. Allow me to carry it for you and accompany you on your journey, said the wolf,
Leaning towards Little Red Riding Hood. "No, I won't," she said. "You smell of eau de cologne."
As you wish, but do tell me, for I am much intrigued. What are you carrying in that tempting hamper? Asked the wolf.
"That's nothing to do with you," snapped Little Red Riding Hood. "But since you ask, I am taking some custard tarts and a pot of butter to my grandmother's cottage, where she's lying ill in bed."
I say, what a rotten piece of luck for the dear old thing, said the wolf. But what a charming notion, that you should take her these little delectable comestibles. Allow me to sample the butter, to make sure it is suitable for an aging invalid.
"There's hardly any left," said Little Red Riding Hood.
Oh, just a morsel is all I require, pleaded the wolf.
"Very well," said the little girl. And the wolf stuck his enormous claw into the pot.
Said the wolf. Delightful. And now for my pudding. Excusez-moi, ma petite traveler.
And the greedy creature opened his mouth wide, intending to eat up Little Red Riding Hood. But the rabbit darted out from among the bushes and shouted, "Stop that at once!"
"Eh?" said the wolf.
And the squirrel hopped out along a branch and said,
Don't touch her. If you wouldn't mind, Mr. Wolf."
What? Bellowed the wolf. Begone, vile woodland vermin, or I'll eat you all up.
And the robin appeared and shouted to Little Red Riding Hood,
Quickly, run along to your grandmother's and don't stop until you're safely inside.
Naturally, I was merely intending to taste those succulent tarts that are so provocatively concealed beneath the napkin, said the wolf.
"Well, you can't, and I must be going," said Little Red Riding Hood.
Of course. Your sickly grandmother awaits, said the wolf. But where did you say her cottage was, by the by?
"Don't tell him," cried the rabbit.
Shh, said the squirrel.
"Hurry along," said the robin. But Little Red Riding Hood, taken in by the wolf's friendly manner, explained that her grandmother's cottage lay at the end of the woodland path.
Really? Said the wolf. But let me tell you of a shortcut I know.
"Don't listen," cried the rabbit. "Cover your ears," said the squirrel.
On your way,
said the robin. But Little Red Riding Hood's legs were beginning to ache, and she gratefully listened to the wolf's whispered instructions. Thank you, said Little Red Riding Hood. And she took her basket and set off in the direction the wolf had shown her.
Toodle pip,
said the wolf. Now, the wolf had not told Little Red Riding Hood of a shortcut, but of the path that twisted and wound its way through the wood. The wolf took the shortcut himself and raced to the old lady's cottage as fast as he could run. When he arrived, he knocked on the door.
Who is it?
Asked the weak old lady.
"'Tis,"
said the wolf.
"'Tis only I, your granddaughter, who has brought you some delicious custard tarts and a little pot of butter sent to you from Mama."
And the girl's grandmother replied,
"Beside the door is a little flower pot. Under the pot is a small box. Inside the box is a key."
"Door, flower pot, box," mumbled the wolf, becoming impatient. And he let himself in.
"Hello, my child,"
said Grandmother.
"What ho, grandmother, my ancient old fruit,"
Said the wolf. And before the old lady could reply, he bundled her into a cupboard and locked the door. Little Red Riding Hood meandered through the wood, following the path the wolf had described. The rabbit, the squirrel, and the robin followed as fast as they could, hoping to find Little Red Riding Hood along the path. At last, Little Red Riding Hood reached the old lady's cottage and knocked on the door. "Who?" said the wolf.
"Who is it?" "It's me, Grandmama, with some custard tarts and a pot of butter from Mama."
And the wolf replied,
"Beside the door is a little flower pot. Under the pot is a small box. Inside the box is a key."
Little Red Riding Hood took the key and let herself in.
"Put the custard tarts and little pot of butter on the stool and sit beside me." "What big, hairy arms you have, Grandmama,"
said Little Red Riding Hood.
"All the better to hug you with,"
Said the wolf.
"And what huge ears you have, Grandmama,"
Said Little Red Riding Hood.
"All the better to hear you with," said the wolf. "And what enormous eyes you have, Grandmama,"
Said Little Red Riding Hood.
"All the better to see you with." "And what great big teeth you have, Grandmama."
"Oh, yes, all the better to eat you with." And he jumped out of the bed and was about to eat up Little Red Riding Hood. The rabbit, the squirrel, and the robin burst in and set upon the wolf.
"Egad," he shouted, "can't you leave one to his dinner?"
Rabbit kicked him, the squirrel bit him, and the robin pecked him until he ran off in a frenzy. Little Red Riding Hood found her grandmother and helped her back to bed. The old lady shared the custard tarts and what was left of the pot of butter with the rabbit, the squirrel, and the robin. At first, she was rather cross with Little Red Riding Hood for talking to a wolf, but then forgave the little girl and let her have some too.